Hi, everybody. Christian Reviglio here with Reno Right Now, our podcast series. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Derek Beauvais, the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And today, this is such an inspirational story that you're not going to want to miss. We're going to talk to Derek, who started out with very humble beginnings and through one mentor in his life, changed who he is and brought him to where he is today with Big Brothers Big Sisters and leading a fantastic organization that helps our kids here get through tough times and grow into productive members of society. So thank you so much, Derek, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here and happy to talk and learn more about you as well as share about Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Absolutely. So I first want to start out talking about who Derek is. And so Derek, take us back to your childhood because I think that this all sets the stage for, why you are here with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So take us back to your childhood. What was it like growing up in the household that you were in that is the foundation of who you are today?
Yeah, I think my upbringing gives me, I wouldn't say a unique perspective because unfortunately a lot of kids grow up the way I grew up, right? A lot of kids grow up with the issues that I had in my household, which were issues of poverty, right? We struggled to get by financially. We ate from food pantries, we ate at churches, those types of things, right? But also, my parents wanted to provide a great life for me, right? I think everybody's, basic goal as a parent is to give their child a life that was better than theirs, right?
Right.
Which my parents did. They struggled through it. They suffered through issues of addiction. Struggle. We had violence in the household. Things that no kid should have to go through. But unfortunately, that's the reality of our society, that these things happen, right? And so, like I said, it's not necessarily a unique perspective because it's so prolific, but it does give me a perspective that allows me to, I think, better serve my community and better serve the kids that I work with, because I know what their families are going through because I experienced it firsthand. I know how hard it is to access resources. I know the shame and embarrassment that comes along with those things when you're a kid, that you have no control over, right? And so having those firsthand experiences puts me in a position to, I think, better understand the families that we serve, but also better serve them because I know the challenges that they're facing, and it allows us to see what they're going through and provide them with the support and resources that they need that aren't always the traditional, here's a form, here's the support you need, because sometimes people just need to be heard and need to be listened to and need empathy. And so because of my experience in my childhood, I think I'm better positioned to do that.
Wow. And, you said that this is such a unique situation, but I mean, for me, I personally didn't deal with violence in the household, or I lived a pretty good life. And so a lot of people out there, they might not realize how dire some of these situations are that these kids have to go through, right?
For sure, right? And I think that, like I said, there's shame and embarrassment that comes along with those things that shouldn't be there, right? And so how do we as a community, how do we as a nonprofit, how do we as leaders, servant leaders, find ways to break down those barriers, to combat that stigma, to make sure that these families and these kids get the support that they need, because it is isolating, right? And so we want to make sure that those kids, those families know where to go, who to reach out to, who is safe, what are safe spaces, and right, we want to break down those issues of generational poverty, right? We want to stop the cycle, right? And I think that's what's a part of my story, right? Is that I had a mentor who helped me stop the cycle, right? So like I know that my child will not have to deal with or experience the things that I experienced because I had a mentor that came into my life at a pivotal moment, gave me support, resources. But honestly, like what he did more than anybody else was that he believed in me, right? He showed for the first time in my life, there was an adult outside of my family that thought I actually had potential or that I could actually do something more with my life, where I felt like up to that point, everybody had seen me and kind of knew like, this is where he comes from, right? Like grew up in a trailer park, there was, 6 of us living in a 3-bedroom trailer. I slept on a recliner until I was like 10 years old, like, right. Didn't have a bedroom, like I think people saw that and just thought like, this kid doesn't have a chance. And Brad, my mentor, right, my high school basketball coach, like was the first person that was like, this kid has a chance. Like there's something we can do here to really change my circumstances. And it was the first time that I got to really kind of see life beyond the 4 walls of my house or beyond my family circumstances, right? When you grow up like desolate, when you grow up in those situations, you just think that's your future because that's all you
have
see.
No idea.
Yeah, you don't see anything else. So it's just that's normal to you, right? Like most of my like early childhood years, like I didn't even know we were struggling because everybody around me was in that same circumstance, so it was just normal. Right. And then as I got older and got exposed to more, you start to realize, oh, there's some differences, right? There's some things going on, but you don't even know what, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And that was for me. But then, right, I had this one person that came in and was like, it doesn't have to be this way. And it was the first time somebody saw potential, but also kind of showed me a path of like how it could be different.
Wow. And so when you were younger, before this mentor came into your life, which was around high school.
Yeah.
Did you have somebody at that time? No, right?
No, right? Like, and I was a super shy kid, right? Which like people are always like, no way. Cause now like I'm publicly speaking for a living basically. Right. But I was super shy, right? Like I was always a smart kid. I always did the right things, but just like I never wanted to be noticed, right? Because I didn't want to be noticed that I was wearing the same school clothes that I wore the school year before. Like I didn't want to be noticed because I hadn't gotten a haircut for 6 or 8 months, right? Like trying to fly under the radar.
There were some some differences in your situation with other kids.
Yeah, so it's just like those things that like right in your quietest moments that you are insecure about, right? You have those even as a kid, right? And so it's like, I just didn't want to be noticed for any of those things. Mm-hmm. And so really, right, like having a mentor, like started to give me confidence of like, yeah, there's differences, but there's also things, those differences, like some of them should be celebrated. Some of them should be nourished and you should get excited about some of those things, right? And before it was always like, please, like, don't put me in front of people. Don't acknowledge me. Don't recognize me. Like I just wanted to be, like very much like indiscreet or discreet, right? Like, yeah, I under the radar for sure. And so like that belief, that one person that came into my life and said like, hey, it could be different. And you are special and you matter, like completely shifted my mindset and changed my, course in life.
Wow. I'm thinking about my own life and how a mentor in my life changed the trajectory of what I do for work. And then how much I love to mentor other people and see how I can really change a lot of people's lives with the things that I've learned. Yeah. And I imagine that's same for you in this situation.
For sure, right? Like being impacted by mentorship in a one-to-one situation, right, had such a profound impact on my path in life that now, right, like I almost feel like it's my duty, right, to do this for others because I have the ability to, right? Like I've been given this chance to have a different path, right? Like, if I look at my family history and look at, people within my family, like, I'm the first person to graduate from college. Many of my family members have been arrested or been incarcerated, right? Like they took different paths. It's not because they're bad people, right? Mm-hmm. But they didn't know how to change those circumstances on their own. Right. And I didn't know necessarily how to change my circumstances, but that one person came in and just, started to nudge me, right? And started to walk this different path that now, right? Now I'm in this place and have this opportunity to that one moment, right? Where my mentor stepped in and changed my life. Now, like I have the ability to like amplify that. Right. And so, it changed my course, selection at college. It changed what my degree is in. It's changed what my, planned career path was to be where I'm at today. Because now I believe that I have the ability through the power of mentorship, right? This huge ripple effect of like, if we took this, drop this stone in the water of Brad working with me, and now this ripple effect is going out of, like I have the opportunity and the ability, especially in this community, to impact thousands of kids with mentorship. And, I don't do that alone, right? I have an amazing team and an amazing organization and an amazing program to be able to do those things with. But like I said, it almost feels like a sense of duty or a calling of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing because this isn't where I was supposed to be, right? Like this wasn't the path for me, but somebody stepped in a pivotal moment and gave me this opportunity. And so now, like, I have to do that. I have to do this for these kids that need it. The kids that were like me that didn't have that opportunity, right? Like I always go back to that quote of like, be the change you wish to see in the world. Well, like somebody was that for me, right? Like he was the person that I needed in that moment. And so now I have the opportunity to like be that change and be that person that influences others' lives in a profound way that gives them hope and opportunity that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have.
Wow. I want to talk about this mentor, mm-hmm. and I want to paint more of a picture of what your childhood was kind of like. Can you go a little bit deeper into what that looked like? Like what did your parents do for work? And when you said violence, like what type of violence was it? Like all around you in the neighborhood, or was it directly in the household? That type of thing.
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I think it's always hard to talk about this stuff, right? Because they're my family, right? And I know that they love me and that I love them, but
I gotcha.
And they did the best that they could with what they had. My dad worked at a mill. My mom was a bartender and worked nights, so during the day my dad was at work and during the night my mom was at work. So it meant like my brother, who's, a few years older than me, 5 years older than me, was thrust into a caretaking role, right, at a very young age, which we see all the time in our program.
You do.
That older siblings are caretaking for younger siblings because childcare is so expensive and, hard to access, and so that's what's going on at home, right? Is like my parents are both working hard, but they're struggling to make ends meet, had addiction issues. And unfortunately, violence was in the home, so it wasn't always a safe space. And it was always, I think, unpredictable, right? And I think that's really hard for kids going through development, like their brains are still developing. And when you can't predict like what's happening in your home, it makes doing all the other things hard, right? It makes going to school hard. It makes focusing hard. All of those things become difficult when you don't know, you don't know if there's going to be food in the house. You don't know how somebody's going to react to something, if it's going to be a safe space or not a safe space, right? And so like, again, right, like this is my story, so it's unique to me, but this is the story of kids in our community every day, right? That are living in these unpredictable circumstances that it's no fault of their own, right? It's issues of mental health, it's issues of poverty, things that take real societal changes to fix. And so, like, how do we address them as a community, but also, like within our mission, right? Of like, how do we address them through mentorship? How do we address them through one-to-one relationships? So yeah, it was a difficult childhood, right? But like I said earlier, like most of my childhood, I didn't even know it was difficult. Now, with more education and more experience, I look back and I'm like, oh man, like kids should not grow up that way.
Right.
Right. But when you're in it, you don't really know that. There's moments where you recognize like, oh, this should not be happening. But most of my childhood, right, like I was a happy kid, like we struggled, but we still had joy. We still had happiness. We still had those moments, but as you get more removed from it and you look back and you're like, oh man, like, ooh, like those are some tough times or tough moments. But, like, I think that, that experience benefits me today, because of the perspective that I have.
Well, and you've been through tough things.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what makes amazing leaders great is, you go through obstacles,
right?
Major obstacles.
Yeah.
But, some of these kids have been through big obstacles. They don't even know it.
Right.
And so how do you get them out of that? And that's what Big Brothers Big Sisters does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And right. And that's how my mentor came into my life, right? It wasn't through a facilitated program like Big Brothers Big Sisters, right? It was, I went to tryouts for basketball for a traveling team. I made the traveling team, and it became pretty apparent really quickly to the coach that my family could not afford the traveling team. It is expensive to play travel sports, right?
Yes,
and
very. For
some reason, he decided it was worth it to say, we'll figure it out, right? He needs to be on the team. And so, so I played traveling sports all of high school, never paid for a single tournament, for a single uniform, nothing. Like, I assume now that Brad just paid for it all. Like, I don't know. Like, they weren't actively fundraising, so I'm assuming he was just writing the check and covering everything. Like, we never really talked about it, right? And I think that was one of the things that when other adults had tried to help me, right, throughout my life, it was always about like, name the problem, name this, let's talk about it. Where Brad, he knew there was things going on, but he was just helping me with what I wanted in my life, right? He wanted to learn about me and help me in the things that I wanted to achieve. It wasn't about like, oh, what is this situation? What is this situation? Tell me about this, right? Or it wasn't even like, even in my own high school, right? Like, if I wanted to play sports, you had to get a scholarship for that. Well, to get a scholarship in my high school, this was back in the early 2000s, you had to work for it. So like, you'd have to go into the cafeteria and like serve lunch every day to like earn enough money to like play sports, right? So like, what a like isolating experience, right? Like, as the only person like playing a sport and you're the only one working in the cafeteria to like do that, like I hope, and I don't think that's how they do things now 25 years later. Right. But, so like he took that like shame and embarrassment out of it for me, right? It was just like, you made the team, you should be on the team, let's figure it out. Right. And then we never had to talk about it again. And so
the shame and embarrassment is a real thing.
Oh, for sure. It's something that you don't get to escape, right? It's not something you stop thinking about, right? When you're in those situations. And so like, that's, part of how we run the organization today. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it, right? But like, it's hard to ask for help. And in our society, in our community,
because of the embarrassment.
Yeah.
You don't want to ask for help.
Yeah. And when you need resources, you actually have to ask for help hundreds of times. Right. You can't go to one person or one place and say, I need help, and then get all the help you need. Right. You're going to come to, and then they're going to refer you to the next person. And then you got to go explain your whole story all over again, ask for help again. Yeah. Right. And it's like, there's barriers to there's barriers to access, from transportation to working hours, all kinds of things. Right. But the other piece is like the mental hurdle of like, man, I know like when I go walk into this next office, right? Because I saw it with my own family, with my mom, right? Like, it's like, oh man, like we need food stamps, right? We need to go in and get this support, but like then you have to go in and tell your story all over again. Fill out another form. If you fill out the form wrong, you got to come back to another appointment, or you didn't bring the proper documentation, right? Like there's all these things that happen,
And it's almost easier not doing it.
yeah, right. And there are times in my life that we went without, and my best guess is like that's why. Is like that it was harder to go get the help than to not have the help.
Wow.
Right. And so right, so like all of this like leads up to, you know, this moment where, you know, like in high school I make this team, I have this individual that steps into my life and wants to help, and right, it like feels like the first time, like help with no strings attached, just interest in me. And it really was, you know, like it was powerful in the fact that like somebody had interest in me, right? But it's more powerful now looking back on it because I see it's these little moments that added up over time, right? It wasn't like when I was in that moment, like I felt like these big monumental changes each day. It was just like consistency. He showed up. He said, he like did what he said he was going to do, right? He showed me that there was a different way. He believed in me, right? Like all of these things, they didn't feel like these big things, but what happened was, right, like over the course of my high school career, he was there, right? In all of those big moments, he was there when I had hard times, right? Like he was the person I called when things were great. He was the person I called when things were bad.
Wow.
And so, right, but it's like a compilation of all of that over time is what changed me, you know, and that's kind of what we're, you know, that's what we're trying to do at Big Brothers Big Sisters, right? Is like we are facilitating those relationships so that because we know this consistency over time is going to change the path of these kids' lives.
And I think that, you know, this is a testament to how sports creates community.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And that sport, basketball, gave you this amazing arena
Yeah.
to meet your coach, right? To build a relationship with that person, to have other people around you supporting you, right? That was a great first step for you. And so did you play other sports before?
Yeah, I played baseball, basketball, football growing up.
You did?
Like, yeah. So
I gotcha.
Was always involved in sports, but basketball was kind of like the sport that I fell the most in love with, and just
Wow.
Something, you know, that was a part of my life for a long time. And, you know, I'm still a diehard Lakers fan, even though everybody here in Nevada hates to hear that, you know, but my dad was born and raised in LA, and we were Dodgers, Lakers, Rams. That was drilled into us from birth. And so I've stayed diehard with all those teams. But yeah, so yeah, basketball has just always been a part of my life. Like competition, sports has just been always an outlet, right? And I think, you know, like, again, this goes back to like, yeah, mentorship and the power of mentorship, but also like volunteerism, right? Like all of these coaches that impacted my life were all volunteers, right? Like none of them were being paid to do this, right? And I'm sure the same that you experienced growing up, right? Playing sports, like this, it's somebody that's giving back their time that really has an impact. And so I think that's the piece that, you know, like underlies all of this is like somebody at some point has to have this calling or this want to do more, to do something outside of themselves, to actually have impact, right? You know, because I'm sure the mentors that you've had weren't getting paid to do that, right?
No.
They just found it in themselves of like, hey, this is something I should be doing, and found ways to give back. And so for us, right, like at Big Brothers Big Sisters, we just have 120 years of Big Brothers Big Sisters support behind it when we do this. But right, it all starts with somebody who, for some reason, feels called to do it, feels led to do it, feels like, hey, I should give back in some way. Because if we don't have the volunteers, it doesn't matter, right? If we don't have that one person that has this inkling to want to give back or do better for their community or do better for one person, it doesn't happen.
I gotcha. What would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned from your mentor?
So, you know, I think I learned a lot from Brad, right? Unfortunately, probably I learned more in his passing than I learned more while he was alive, which is sad, right? But I was young when we spent time together and didn't understand the value of what he was doing for me, right? So Brad mentored me through high school. The day after I graduated high school, I packed up my car and moved in with Brad and his wife.
You did?
Yeah. So at the time, my dad was incarcerated, so I was living at home with my stepmom and my stepbrothers, and didn't feel like I was getting the love and support that I needed, and had vocalized that to Brad, and he said, why don't you just come live with me and my wife? And I was like,
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, right. Opened his home to me, and so
how many years?
So that we lived together wasn't very long. So I only lived with him for about 6 months, and so during that time, he had cancer and had a brain tumor that was operated on a few years before that. And when I moved in with him, the tumor had come back, and it was basically inoperable, and he was going to die from it. And at some point, right, like, because Brad was an adult and I was a child, he didn't talk to me about the things that he was struggling with. But at some point, the struggle became too much, and Brad died by suicide. And so that was hard, right? For me, as like this one person that...
While you were living there?
Yeah. So this one person that, like meant everything to me, was gone, right? Like that, and for me, right, like understanding that, somebody who is struggling with mental health and struggling with his own things still gave so much, right? Like he had his own things going on, but he gave back so much. And I think that's something that I've learned is like, even in the moments where life is hard, even in the moments where you feel alone or isolated, you still have the ability to give, right? And that was something that I didn't understand growing up. I was always in need, right? I was always like this is what we need. This, because it was just like we had nothing. And I was never shown that I could have been giving back too, right? And so like learning that lesson from him, I think is something that I carry with me every day. And I think that it's an important lesson that I use as a nonprofit leader. Yes, as a nonprofit, we are in need, right? We rely solely on the generosity of our community to be able to do what we do, right? We do not have an earned income model, right? Like we don't charge for a product or a service. The only way we generate revenue is that somebody gives us money, right? They're investing in impact. They're investing in our mission, our brand, right? But just because we're always in need doesn't mean that we can't do something for our partners or for those people, right? So I think that's something like that I carry with, like, not only on a personal level of like, hey, even in my toughest moments, like, how can I give back? How can I still be a servant leader? How can I still serve my community or serve the people that need me? But then as a leader of the organization is like, okay, even though that we are in need of these resources, how do we give back? Right? And obviously, like, there's some real tangible ways that we do that, right? It's through our services, the kids that we're impacting, but it's also like we have to build relationships in the community. We have to be a part of the community. We have to show up when it matters. We have to be advocates. There's some powerful things that come from that. But I think, for us is like, because we are actively always fundraising, we are actively always recruiting volunteers, right? It's like, this is what we need from the community. We have to find ways to give back that are unique and that create value propositions for our businesses, for our partners, things like that. So it's like, how can we leverage our network to add value back to our partners? How can we leverage, our brand in the community to help spread the word for other nonprofits, for other important programs, those types of things. And so,
and you do typically partner with other nonprofits and small businesses too.
Always, yeah, constantly. That that's the heart of what we do, because like mentorship, right? Like, we know that these kids can't do it alone, but we can't do it alone either, right? Like, we need the whole community to rally around us to be able to carry out our mission. The same way that these kids need people to rally around them to build that support system for them to live out their potential.
Right. So, gosh, by the loss of your mentor while you're living with them, it is just baffles my mind. I mean, that probably was one of the hardest things you've ever gone through.
Yeah, super difficult, right? And like in the moment, it was hard, but I knew he was right. Like I knew he was going to die because he was diagnosed. You know, he had told me he had this diagnosis, and so when I got the call,
he took his life.
Yeah, when I got the call at work and he had died, you know, I just, you know, like honestly, I went back to work. Right? Because like,
did you know that it was? You didn't
know how I didn't know how he died. Wow. And then later that night, I learned how he died, and that really like stopped me in my tracks. You know, like, and suicide is a part of my family history. My mom's dad, he committed suicide when she was a small child, and mental health issues run in my family.
Wow.
And so, yeah, right. So like that was. It was really hard for me to reconcile, right? Because I saw somebody who was so happy and so positive every day and so involved in his, like, right? Like life looked awesome to me.
For sure.
Right? Like if I looked at Brad's life, I was like, man, he's
from the crystal
like,
ball.
Yeah, like he's great. Really successful. Like things are awesome. And then this, right? And so,
wow.
You know, like it just gives you a different perspective, right? And now, right, throughout my career working in youth development space, like, mental health is such a huge issue that the kids we serve face, that the people and their families are facing on a regular basis, that you never know, right? You never know what somebody's going through. What they're presenting may not have anything to do with how they're feeling or what's going on internally. And so just making sure that we create safe spaces for those individuals, you know, and that, you know, we have programs and services that combat mental health issues, provide resources, support, you know, and prevent suicide.
Right.
And honestly, like talking about it is one of the big things, right? Is that we need to be able to have open conversations about it. You know, all of my staff, we get trained on suicide prevention. We partner with suicide prevention programming, and make sure that everybody's equipped to know how to support somebody in those circumstances and give them the resources that they need.
Right. So let's keep going. You after that incident, you moved on into Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So Brad, I was living with Brad. I was going to community college. Brad passed away. And that was kind of like something needed to change, right? Like I couldn't stay in my hometown. It just, you know, just something needed to change, right? And so I ended up, Brad had taken me on college tours and paid for college applications. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to Eastern Oregon University. You should come with me." And that was actually Brad's alma mater. It's where he went to school. And so I was like, hey, why not? Right. And so I was planning to work and live in Bend and get my associate's degree through a community college before going to university. But this kind of like sped up that process. So then the next fall I went to Eastern Oregon University, started my college career there. And then that summer had come back and worked at Boys and Girls Club, which I, you know, I wasn't a club kid because I had never had a membership, because I like knew, even though it was such an affordable membership, like I didn't know. You don't ask your parents for the money for that. Wow. So I would just go to the club and play basketball every day. And the club director, like, I don't know, once a week or once a month would be like, "Hey, Derek, you still haven't turned in your membership application. Here's another copy." And I think that went on for like 4 years. You know, she just knew it wasn't going to happen and still let me come every day and had that space, right, which was great. And through Brad's mentorship, you know, he had suggested that Boys and Girls Club let me coach. So I was coaching middle school basketball while I was in high school, and then went away to college. And honestly, I did not know what I wanted to do that summer. I just knew I needed to work. And so I called the club and just like on a whim and was like, hey, are you guys hiring? And they're like, yeah, we're actually hiring. Can you start Sunday? And this was like Thursday, and I was still, I wasn't even home yet. Yeah. And so, so then I packed my car, drove home and started work that summer.
They're
and
like,
then
this guy calls.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. So I got hired there. That was in the summer of 2004. And then that fall went back to college and they sent me a full-time job offer while I was in college to become the team director.
Yeah.
And it was paying $14 an hour, which was more than either of my parents had ever made in their lives. And so I was like, man, I'm balling, right? Like, how could I turn this job down? So I left school and went to work for Boys and Girls Club, left on-campus school, continued my education online, and went to work for Boys and Girls Club full-time. And so spent almost 14 years at Boys and Girls Club in Bend, Oregon, held every unpaid and every paid position that organization had to offer, and spent my last 4 years as their executive director there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
And then you made a transition to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah. Yep. So it was, like I'd been walking into that club pretty much every day for 20 years, right? And felt like I had taken that organization as far as I could go, and it was time to spread my wings a little bit and take on a new challenge. And so this was actually one of the first jobs that I applied for, and luckily got an interview and drove down here. And
first and only, or
a couple I'm one of those, I'm in my 40s. I've had 3 jobs, right? So it's like there's not a lot of people that haven't job hopped a lot. I've spent
it's all around kids.
Yeah. So drove down here in a snowstorm, had an interview, took a tour, and then started the job 18 days later.
You and your lovely wife at the time?
No, I met my wife through Big Brothers Big Sisters, which is amazing. Yeah. Wow. So she was on the Young Professionals Committee. She was a former Big Sister and a volunteer, and actually met her through Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I owe a lot of my life to Big Brothers Big Sisters, because now I have an amazing wife and a 7-month-old baby boy, and it all wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So
that's so awesome. So was it that Big Brothers Big Sisters and their mission and all that drew you here to Reno, because that you saw that job opening?
For sure, right? I think it was understanding the power of mentorship in my own life and seeing an opportunity to amplify that on a greater scale.
Right.
Really was the driving force behind taking the leap and moving to Reno.
Right. And you've done a lot of great things with the organization, like doubling the budget and purchasing a debt-free building, right?
Yeah. We've been busy, right? It's, I started in 2018, and, we had some financial challenges then that we were able to overcome fairly quickly, and then COVID happened, right?
Right.
and that changed everything, right? Our entire model of our service delivery model is 1-to-1, is a person from this household meeting with a person from this household, right? Which is the one thing that we were not allowed to do during COVID, right? So completely shifting our model.
Zoom calls?
Right. But then our kids don't have access to technology, right? They don't have phones at home. They don't have internet at home. So then we had to find foundations and people to purchase those devices for our families, for our kids. Really? We had to find ways to get them cheap or free internet so that they could connect, right? We went back to old school. Some of our bigs and littles were pen pals, right? They're leaving messages. The bigs would go leave a note on the little's porch. My little and I, we would go pick up pizza kits from Mark Esty at Liberty, right? And I would drop a pizza kit off at his house, and I'd take a pizza kit home to my house, and then we would FaceTime and make pizzas together, right? Those types of things. So we just found ways to stay connected as much as possible. Our bigs, our staff started delivering food boxes, so we partnered with local food pantries, and we're delivering food boxes every week to families that couldn't access it. We partnered with a local church and did what they called crockpot ministry. So we were getting families that live in hotels that don't have access to hot food, especially once kind of the world shut down, gave them an Instapot, and then every week we would deliver all of the ingredients and a recipe to make something in their Instapot so they'd have hot food.
Wow.
So we were just, right, like finding ways to stay connected, not only for our bigs and our littles, but our program to stay connected to the families, so we went through COVID, and then we ended up having to leave our office space, and that's how we ended up buying this building. And then we've been raising money to renovate it, and renovations, our interior renovations just finished last month, and
it's a beautiful building.
Yeah, we're very happy with it. And then our exterior renovations just started this last week, and we're hoping to have everything wrapped up by the end of the month, and we'll throw a big party and welcome the community in.
I'm excited for the party.
Yeah. Our goal is that this is a hub, right? Like we want this to be a second home for our matches, right? And we already have some matches that walk in. The first thing they do is walk to the kitchen, open the fridge, grab a drink, open the cabinets, grab a snack, come do their homework, hang out together here. That's what we want this space to be. It's really about how do we create more opportunities for connection between our bigs and our littles.
So a lot of the bigs and littles use this space as a meeting.
That's our goal, right? Really? As we continue to renovate it, is that we want them to spend time in this space because we want them to have that ability to connect one-on-one, to be able to do that for free, right? Not have to pay for a program or activity. And we want that level of comfort, right? Like I love when the kids walk in and the first thing they do is open the fridge, right? Because when you go home, what's the first thing you do? Right? Is you open the fridge. So it shows that they're comfortable here.
Has stuff in it.
Oh, it's stocked. Yeah. We keep it stocked for sure. Yeah.
And so you doubled the budget.
Yeah.
And that means more staff, right? So there's staff here. How many staff do you have?
So we have 16 full-time staff that run our program right now.
Wow.
So
16 full-time paid staff.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. I even get that question a lot as I'm the CEO of a nonprofit, and people are like, "You get paid for that?" Like it's not a volunteer. I'm like, "Yeah, it's a paid job. It's not a volunteer role." But yeah, our program, right? Like the service delivery model is that the program is run by volunteers, which is our bigs, right? We call them bigs. It's the big brothers and big sisters. It's the mentors, but they are professionally supported by an entire agency, right? Because our bigs, although we give them training and they go through orientation, they are still untrained on how to deal with the issues that our families see on a daily basis. So if you're a big brother in the program and you find out your little's being evicted, we don't want you to take that on as the big, right? You will in some way.
Like your mentor and say, hey, move into my house.
Yeah, because in some way, right, like you're going to feel this sense of responsibility towards that kid, but we don't want you to be in the position to have to deal with that. That's what our team is for, right? So that's when they call what we call a match support specialist, which is our version of a caseworker, right? So they know the family, they know the kid, they know the big, but they also know the community, they know the resources that exist. And so they're the ones providing that support so that the big gets to just focus on the little. What are the things that they can do in that relationship to help support this kid when they're going through these difficult times, but they don't have to be the person that solves those problems, right? That's what our agency is there for.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I imagine people might have those concerns when they get involved, and it's nice to know that you've got a great staff.
Yeah, you're not just on your own.
Yeah, yeah. So that's awesome. I was struck by the stats. I see 92% of your youth graduate high school, and 99% of them avoid the juvenile justice system.
Yeah.
What do those numbers mean to you?
Right. For us, that shows the impact, right, of the program. And I think that goes back to this power of mentorship, right? And I think that, that relates back to my story, right? Is like, it's little moments over time that add up to these big things, right? So like when I meet with my little, because I'm a big brother myself, right? Like I check in with him, like, hey, how's school going? Oh, like, what do you need help with? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Right. I'm not sitting with him going, you're 10 years old. Let's talk about high school graduation. Let's figure this out today. Right. Like we're not like doing that. It's just like, I'm showing up every week. We're spending time together.
An hour a week is
Yep.
what you want.
We talk about academics. We talk about social. We do all kinds of things, right? But having that consistency adds up to these numbers, right? And there are times in our littles' lives where we get very intentional about like, oh, like there's something going on, we need to intervene and help academically or whatever's going on, right? But it's these little moments, right, that build up over time. And our saying is it takes little to be big. And that's really what it comes down to, is like just showing up every week, this little moment like becomes these big things, right? And so, low socioeconomic kids, which are the kids that we serve, historically those graduation rates are very low. You don't see 90+% graduation rate for low socioeconomic kids, but in our program we do, right? And it shows that power of that one person that shows up consistently can have these impacts. And we know, right, like if a kid graduates high school, their likelihood of attending college or participating in higher education shoots up, right? Their likelihood of earning more income, right, goes way up. Like all of those things change. And then same for, the other stat you shared, that 99% of our kids avoid the juvenile justice system. So not only, right, are we like keeping kids out of that system, right, which is great for the kid, right, that they're not experiencing that, but that's great for our community, because kids that enter the juvenile justice system, they're supported one way. That's through tax dollars, right? And those kids on an annual basis, if you talk to different people within our state, you'll hear different numbers, but it can be, somewhere between $16,000 to $20,000 up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide support and care for those kids on an annual basis that are in the juvenile justice system. In our program, we're trying to invest on the front side, right? Before they get there, it's $1,200 a year to support a match.
And the juvenile justice system is?
That's like Jan Evans, right? Like that's where, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So for us, right, it's about like, how do we keep those kids out of that system? How do we keep those kids on a path to be successful? Not that kids can't be successful once they're in the juvenile justice system, but it creates more barriers. And so for us, it's about...
They're incarcerated, right?
Correct, yeah.
So like, and it's harder to get them back on track there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so, right, like... So if we can get those kids to avoid that path and not go down that path, we just know their opportunities, right, like are just greater. And so we're very proud of those stats. And what's wonderful about being a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters, right, is like we have 120 years of running this program in this country of like, we know that it works, right? And we see from some longitudinal studies that like our kids are more likely to earn $75,000 or more as an adult.
Okay.
Because of their participation in this program. Our kids are more likely to volunteer in their communities because of being a member of Big Brothers Big Sisters, right? Being a little, they see the impact of volunteerism, so they then become volunteers as adults. And so there's these greater community impacts that we have because these kids are more prepared. They have more support when they become adults because they were little in the program. And that's the thing that we also like. We have these facilitated relationships that happen through their childhood, but the relationships typically don't end, right? And I see that in my own household. So my wife was a big sister. She got matched. Right. She got matched at 18. Her little was 13 years old now, and now her little's 30.
Wow.
And like we do family dinners together, like Thanksgiving. Sarah, who's her little, and Brian, her little's dad, like come over for Thanksgiving and Christmas and birthdays, right? Like Nadia and her little went on a European vacation together a couple years ago because when Nadia was big in the program, she studied abroad and lived in Turkey and always told Sarah like, hey, when you're older, I want to take you here and show you these things. And so they got to do that. So those relationships, like although our program ends at a certain age and kids graduate from our program and graduate from high school, those relationships don't end. And we see those stories told over and over again throughout our community.
Wow. And you mentioned it takes little to be big.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've heard that so many times and then I didn't quite put it together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference in these kids' lives.
Right.
Can you share a story with us about how your mentorship in this program has changed, has made a significant impact on your little's life?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm a big brother.
something
Yeah.
specific?
I'm a big brother in the program. I'm matched with my second little. So I was matched
Okay.
with my first little when he was in 8th grade, and took him through his high school graduation and helped him get enrolled into the Job Corps program after high school graduation so that he had a path and an idea of where he wanted to go. And then that match officially closed, although we still stay in contact and talk and get together fairly regularly. I got rematched with a new little who is in 4th grade, 10 years old. And we hang out a couple times a month together and spend time together. And I think that, what I get out of the program is that, like, it just teaches me that it's okay to have fun, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think right now, like, we're all so busy and there's like this like grind mentality, right? Like everybody's got a side hustle and, like
Right.
there's all these things going on. And it's like, man, when do you schedule fun into your life?
You need a little bit of that.
You need a little bit of that. And like, I get to do that every week, right?
Mhm.
With my little, because he's 10. He needs to have fun. He needs to he needs to be able to be a kid, right? And that's part of why his mom signed him up for this program. And so, so I get to do those things with him, like I'm really into yoga and he wanted to learn. So like taking him to a yoga class now. He's very.
Where do you go for yoga?
I go to Yoga Pod.
Okay.
Yeah, in South Reno at the Summit. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Not
so
Bikram.
no, well, there is hot yoga there, and I do
Okay.
hot yoga. I did not take him. I took him to a beginner's class.
Okay.
He was laying there during like the first couple minutes, which is like meditation and stretching. And I see his head just turn to look at me, and like I can see that he was like, "This was a mistake. Like, what did you do to me?"
Yeah.
Then we got into class and really like started getting into the flow, and he actually really liked it. And by the end, he was like, I want to get my own yoga mat. Can we come back? He wants to do it again, which is really cool. So like for me, right, like opening up his life, just sharing my experiences with him, something I would already do. I'm just bringing my little with me, right? And so that's something that, right, like just scheduling that fun in, just like, right, we go to Wolfpack basketball games. We went to a football game together. Like he plays every sport. And so just being able to share like our passion for sports together and hang out together, which is great. But I think, just like the importance of fun in life. Yes, like big things are going to happen in his life in the time that we're matched together, right? And there's going to be some hard moments, and there has been some hard moments in our match that I'm there to be able to support him through and provide guidance and talk with his mom and like contribute to the success of overcoming those barriers. But those like week to week moments, right, is just like, let him be a kid, just let him have fun. And then I get to have fun, right? Like I'm like, I want to hit a bucket of balls. Like, let's go, like, let's take him to the driving range, that kind of stuff. And so, I think those are the things that I think get lost in it. I think oftentimes, specifically, we see men are kind of afraid of mentorship. It's like this thing that's out there of like, I don't know how I could give back, or I don't know what to do with a kid. And so like finding those opportunities where like, we say it all, it takes a little to be big. Like it's just showing up, right? It's just about like, what is happening in your life that you can share with a child. Right. And that's what I do. Right. Like there are times where it's like, I'm so busy, I don't know like what I'm going to do. I don't have time to plan something. And so I'm just like, I call up my little, I'm like, hey, you want to go to Costco? Right. And then we just go to Costco together. Right. And we just spend time doing something I would already do, but he gets to go with me.
So it doesn't always have to be fun.
No, but honestly,
it could be a chore. You're doing a chore. You bring your little with you.
but he had fun, right?
Right.
Like
he had fun.
Yeah. And like, right.
And Costco's fun.
Yeah. Costco is fun.
Yeah.
And we talked about healthy food choices. We talked about budgeting, right? Like there was life skills that were happening in these little moments that was just a Costco run, right?
Right.
And of course we got to eat a hot dog at the end, which is like mandatory if you go to Costco.
Oh, for sure.
So, but like, right. We just got to spend time together. And that's what I think, like, that's what matters, right? Is like, it's that time, it's that consistency. It's like, how do you just share what's happening in your life with another child, right? Because like for me, when I was a kid, grocery shopping with my parents was not fun, right? Because there was a budget. It was a stressful environment. Back when I was a kid, food stamps were actually food stamps. Like they were these large colored pieces of paper that like everybody knew you were using food stamps, right? It was like this big bright piece of paper that was purple, right? Not even the color of money, and that's how you're paying for your food.
What's it like now?
Now it's a debit card. Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody knows.
Right. Wow. But right. So it's like those moments, like that was not a fun moment for me as a kid. Right. Like it was like my mom had to, and it probably wasn't fun for my parents either, having to tell their kids no all the time for everything they wanted. Right. Like him and I got to go have a fun, good grocery shopping experience. Right. Which is maybe something he hasn't had before. And so it's like those types of things that we all probably as adults like take those moments for granted. Like those are life experiences that our kids need to be able to have. And so, yeah, so it's not always like planned fun, but it always becomes fun because you're spending it with your little, and it's those moments that really, you know, it matters because I was busy, but I still showed up. Right. It wasn't that I was just like too busy, so we didn't get to hang out.
That's not too hard to bring your little to the grocery store or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's like find the things that you're already going to do and bring your little with you. Right. Share them that there is another life outside of their four walls that's different from their family circumstances. We want these kids to have the experience that their bigs have so that they see that there is more to life, right? That there is other opportunities out there. We want them to have these multiple perspectives and different opportunities that they maybe would not always have within their own family structure.
Well, and I'd imagine that what you're after, why you do this, is to see such amazing change in these kids' lives, and that's got to be just so enormously fulfilling. At the end of the day,
for sure, right? And it's about understanding where our families are coming from, right? So you talked a little bit about your experience, right? And that you've had mentors. Those weren't facilitated, right? They just naturally happened within your sphere of influence, right? Around your family circumstances, that there were natural people that you could look to be like, man, you know, that person has it figured out, or that person has a good life, or whatever it is. And you could learn from them, and they were willing to share that with you, right?
For sure.
Our kids don't have that naturally built in, right? So that's where this facilitated program comes in, is to create that network of support, right? Because like my first,
those opportunities.
right? Like my first little, I helped him get his first job. He didn't know where to go to get work, or even how to do that at 15 years old, right? So like, not only did I get to help him and coach him through that, but like I also had the connections because, right, like Taylor Kane, who's the owner of Sonic Drive-In, is a member of my Young Professionals Committee. So like I called Taylor because there's a Sonic right by his house and said, hey, are you hiring? She's like, yeah, that'd be great. So like, you know, made the connection so he could go in and do an application, right? Like he didn't have somebody in his family that could help make an introduction to help him get his first job.
And he'll never forget that.
Right. So like, right.
He'll always remember what you did for him. Yeah.
Right. And it was like we just did a mock interview in my truck, right? Like, you know, where I'm asking him questions. We went to Kohl's and got him non-slip shoes for work, you know, like those things that he just didn't have that within his family structure.
Wow.
That gave him, right, this opportunity to like get his first job, get that experience, right? And I saw through that, like he gained confidence through his work, you know, and so it's about like, how do we create that community around these kids that maybe don't have that always accessible to them?
Thanks for watching Reno Right Now, where we highlight amazing people in the city of Reno doing great things. And my name's Christian Reviglio. I'm a real estate agent with a CPA tax background. If you're looking for somebody to cut through all the noise and articulate the numbers, I'm your guy. And I'm here to guide you on your path to financial freedom and wealth abundance. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Derek, you mentioned that men are much needed in this program. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so we have about 150 kids on our wait list at any given time. A majority of those kids are little boys waiting for a big brother. So men just don't volunteer at the same rate as women do. And that's just historically true. It's not like something has changed. It just is what it is. And so for us, we often hear from men like, I'm too busy, or I don't know what to do with a kid, right? And so for us, right, like that's the magic of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program is like, as a man, you don't need to know what to do, right? We actually did this like small group focus group with a bunch of men, and one of the questions they asked was like, how am I going to do 52 things in a year? I don't do 52 things myself. I'll tell you right now, a woman has never asked us that question, but right, men are thinking about that. Like, if I'm supposed to hang out with this kid every week, what am I going to do? Well, like in my first match, I hung out with my little every week. He loved basketball. I loved basketball. That's what we did. We would go to the park. We'd shoot hoops. We'd go to Buffalo Wild Wings. We would watch basketball and eat wings. We would go to Nevada Wolfpack games and watch basketball, right? Like, It wasn't like we were doing all these different things. Like, we were just spending time together in the things that we both loved and cared about, right? And so for us, right, we don't want that to be a barrier for anybody to sign up to the program is what am I going to do? Because we have a program that builds around that, right? We have partnerships with different small businesses, with different programs throughout the community that allows for us to handle the programming for you. So you could sign up as a big and just participate in our group match activities, our free things that we have to offer. And that's part of why we wanted our own home, right? We wanted our own building that we've now purchased and that we've been remodeling, is to give space for our matches to hang out together for zero cost, right? So like we are partnered with the Katie Grace Foundation. They're amazing. We get to pick up all of our snacks and drinks from them on a weekly basis for free. So our kitchen is always stocked, right? So there's board games, there's a PS5, there's all kinds of things here for our matches to do. So it's just a opportunity for them to have something free to do that's open to them whenever they want access to it, that they can use. So, for us, it's about like, how do we remove that barrier for somebody who's thinking about becoming a big, like, what do I do? Big Brothers Big Sisters will figure out what you do. We'll help you with that. And it'll be based around the things that you already enjoy doing.
Well, and I think it is significant that the organization provides tickets to Aces games and things like that for the members to be able to go do these other things. And this building, what's phenomenal about it is its location, right?
Yeah, for us, right? Like, so we're at 600 Mill Street. So we're in the heart of downtown. We're 2 blocks from the Automobile Museum, right? Like, we're right here. We're in the mix. We picked this location because of where it is, right? Accessibility for our families. Like, we literally have a bus stop on our property. So people can get here that don't have transportation. We're also in a neighborhood where the families that we serve, they live here, right? So they can get to us easily. At our last location, we were over a mile from the nearest bus stop, right? So if somebody wanted to get to us that had access issues, right? Like, it was a hurdle. Right now, we are easily accessible. We're in the heart of downtown. We are where the people that we serve live. So this location was intentional to be here with the families, the people that we work with. We want to be in their neighborhoods, but also accessibility, right? Is like making sure that people can get to us that maybe have transportation issues.
And the building is actually very central to just about anything.
Yes. Yeah.
It is located in a lower income community, right? So all the people you serve.
For sure.
And for those people that are giving their time back, the bigs, right, to come here is not that hard.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the other really great thing about our location is that there's other nonprofits in this neighborhood as well, right? So
Right.
Communities and Schools is directly across the street. Eddie House is 2 blocks over. Nevada Kids Foundation is just down the street. Like there's a lot
It's all
of,
right around here.
yeah, service agencies all in this area that we all collaborate often anyways. Now it's even easier because we're just across the street. So it's been great to be to make this our new home, to have this be our headquarters and have our matches utilizing it on a regular basis, to give that opportunity and that experience.
Yeah. Can you, I don't know if you can you touch on how you acquired this building? Is that
we can. Yeah, for sure. So right, it's all about time and place and opportunity, right?
Right.
And I think that, as a leader with Big Brothers Big Sisters, I had the opportunity to be elected by my peers to what's called the Nationwide Leadership Council. So there's only 12 CEOs out of the 240 agencies that get elected, and then you have it's like terms of office. You have a couple-year terms, and so during that time, I had the opportunity to work with our national office on the strategic plan for the entire network for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. Through that work on a national level, through different committees and work groups, somehow my agency and myself caught the eye of MacKenzie Scott, who, obviously is a billionaire philanthropist, who's
ex-wife to Jeff Bezos.
Yes, yeah. And they spent some time doing their due diligence on Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, but also on smaller local agencies. And so we were one of the agencies when she made a gift to Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. She chose to recognize some local agencies, and we were one of those. And so I got an email, which I thought was a spam email. So you should always ask or check into those emails. But
because it turned out to
be a real email. Yeah,
and
the
what did
email
say?
said it was like, "Hey, we have an anonymous donor that would like to make a significant gift to your organization. Please reach out to us to schedule a phone call."
And that just
and then the last
fake deal.
The last line of the email said, "If you question the validity of this email, you can call Artis Stevens, who's the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America."
Okay.
So I sent him the email and said, "Hey, if I got this, I bet other people got this spam email. You should be aware." And then my phone rings like 30 seconds later, and he's like, "Derek, take the call." And so took the call, got to talk to MacKenzie Scott's, foundation, and they made a significant gift to us, the value of 1 year of operation at the time, which was $1.2 million.
$1.2 million.
Yeah. So they made a $1.2 million investment that is a true no strings attached.
Oh,
gift.
really? So it wasn't like you got to buy this building.
There's no reporting requirements, anything. The question to them was, if we made this gift, could it help you grow? And if the answer is yes, then they wanted to support us. And so we got to choose what that growth looks like.
Wow, very cool.
And so, so that really was about that investment, gave us this foundation of how do we change the capacity of our program? Again, right, time, place, and opportunity. Around that time, we also were informed that our lease was ending on our previous location. And so we were kind of thrust into making a decision. And so to be able to have this money and have the capacity.
And there's no rent anymore.
And there's no rent, so now we own the space. And then, so we turned that into a $2 million building campaign. So we've been raising that money. We have about $130,000 left to raise to finish that. We're doing an art installation outside where we're selling tiles. It's called the Leave Your Mark campaign. So if somebody wants to leave their mark on our building, they can buy a tile for $1,000. that'll be on the outside of our building, and they can inscribe it with any message they want to. So some people have purchased those in memory of other people. Some are it's about their match, their bigs and littles.
So they
are
can
doing
purchase
it.
these tiles.
Yeah.
How much are
It's
the tiles?
$1,000 a tile
$1,000 a tile
for that Leave Your Match campaign. So if we sell out those,
and the tiles are located where?
they will be in an art installation on the outside of
Okay.
our building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so we've been remodeling the building, spent some money on some infrastructure on the facility and just making
it's
it
truly a beautiful space.
It's a great space, and just we want it to feel welcoming and feel like I said, a second home for our matches. And so, we're very excited about this opportunity to own this building and set up our headquarters in downtown Reno and
sure.
in the community of where our kids live in these neighborhoods.
I love it. So can you tell us what's the process? All you men out there, you got to listen up, and everybody, but men.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers how they can get involved.
Yeah.
And it's not from everything I know about this organization, it's not that you're thrust into it right away. This is kind of a slow roll, but they can get in touch with Derek or whoever, and then tell us how that whole process works.
Yeah. I think one of the questions I always get, right, is I've been here 8 years or going on 8 years, and for the whole time I've been telling people there's 150 kids on the wait list. So they're like, what are you doing? Why? The reason there's 150 kids on the wait list is that there's magic to what Big Brothers Big Sisters does, right? And because we've been doing this for so long, we kind of know what we need. So we need about 150 kids on the wait list based off of how many volunteers are coming into the program.
Right.
Because when we make a match, it is not the first volunteer in and then the next kid off the wait list. Mm-hmm. Right? Because when we do that, we're not building a strong foundation for a relationship. So we really want to get to know our bigs and our littles, and that's really where the process starts. So if you want to get involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters, you are going to go to our website. There is a button at the top that says Become a Big. You're going to click that, and then within 48 hours, one of my staff is going to reach out to you from our enrollment team and start you on the process. And the process includes an orientation. You're going to learn about who Big Brothers Big Sisters is, what we do, the kids we serve, our program. You're going to go through a really in-depth interview. We want to get to know you really well. Right. We want to understand what your goals are for this program, why you want to get involved, what your interests are, your schedule, geographic restraints, all of that stuff.
Right.
We also want to make sure everybody that's a part of our program is safe and appropriate for the program. So that's what's happening on the volunteer side, background checks, fingerprinting, all of that stuff. That's also happening on the family side, right? We're getting to know our families, what their goals are, what they want from the program, understanding where they live, what their schedule is, all of that. So we're learning about both sides before we make these matches. And so that process can be time consuming, right? Depending on how quick you are to go get your fingerprints or how fast your references call us back. But, we tell people to expect about 2 months, right? From the time your first engagement until you're in the program, because one thing we can't control is how long it takes to get background check results back. And those are running about 30 days. So that process takes a while. So we always tell people be like, oh, I really want to be a big, but I'm waiting until next year when this happens. We tell people, if you think you want to become a big, start the process now, because it does take time. Once you're ready to be matched, you're ready to be matched. Right. And if you're like, hey, I'm not ready for 6 months, you'll just wait. And then as soon as you tell us you're ready, we'll pull the trigger and get you set up. So if you've been thinking about it, you want to learn more about it, reach out, go on the website, click Become a Big and get into that first orientation, learn more about what we have going on and see if it's the right fit for you. Yeah.
And so, guys out there and gals, don't be scared. People, they want, if you're interested in it, just have a conversation with one of these folks and start that exploration process.
For sure. And I think that, one of the things that sometimes can make me crazy about, we've all seen it, different nonprofits are like, if you just gave up one Starbucks a week, you could financially support us, right? Like whatever that says, like when you become become a member of our program, it's not about sacrifice. We don't want you giving up something in your life to become a big, right? It's not about what you sacrifice to become a big. It's about the value you want to add, right? Like those are the people that we're looking for. Is like, you want to give back in this community. You want to make Reno a better place to live. That's who we're looking for, right? We're not looking for you to sacrifice. It's like, oh, like it's just an hour a week. Like think about how much time you spend scrolling or, you know, streaming on Netflix or whatever that is. Like those are the things people enjoy to do. We don't want people to stop doing the things that they enjoy in their life. We want them to find value and bring that to the life of a child, to their own life, and to our community. And that's what that hour a week with your little is. It's not about sacrifice, right? It's about fun. It's about joy. It's about value. It's about giving back, right? Those are the things that if that's what you're looking for, then you should become a big. We do not want people to sacrifice the things that they love and enjoy in their life to do this, right? Because that's not the reason people volunteer, right? It's not about sacrifice. People volunteer because they want to add value somewhere. And I think that it's a great opportunity with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And it's so small, right? It's just an hour. It isn't a huge ask.
It takes a little to be big.
That's right.
And there's what comes to mind is I know so many other folks that give a ton of time to other organizations, like hundreds of hours a year. And this organization only requires an hour of your time a week in things that you're already doing. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, our goal is 4 to 6 hours a month. That's how much time we want you to spend with your little. And you get to build that schedule with your little, right?
Right.
Because it's about flexibility of schedule, right? Like my little has now been recruited to this amazing traveling flag football team, right? Where like earlier this year, he went to Texas and played in a flag football tournament, right? So like we don't get to hang out every week because he's busy and I'm busy, right? But we get to hang out like every other week. So we spend a couple hours together. So that's still valuable time spent. Sometimes we do get to hang out every single week, but sometimes life happens, right? And so you have that flexibility to get creative with your schedule.
You moved from Oregon to Reno, and you've been here since 2018. Tell us why you think Reno is such an amazing city.
Yeah, I came from Bend, Oregon, which is what they call a NIMBY community, not in my backyard, right? So like I grew up in a town where it's like, don't tell anybody about the magic of Bend, right? Like it was like, we don't want people moving here. They're going to ruin it, right?
NIMBY.
And so I came from that idea, moved here, didn't know anybody. I literally did not know a single person that lived in Reno. And the way the community welcomed me in was absolutely incredible, right? Like the amount of people that reached out to me first to just say, welcome, let me make an introduction, let me get you connected. Because although Reno is, a bigger city or the biggest little city, right? It's all about who you know, right? And
sure.
Nobody knew me and I knew nobody when I moved here. And now I feel entrenched in this community and I've only been here 7 years.
Right.
And that's because of the people, right? So many people reached out and said, hey, are you going to this? Have you been to this event? Right? Like, you got to come to this event. You got to be here. You can come sit at my table. Like that welcoming sense of community that I had never experienced in my own hometown community, right? Because it was like, we don't want to make more connections, right? But then I came to Reno and it was like, let's get you connected right away. And the amount of people that did that really, created a great opportunity for me and in turn for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I think that's special. I don't think that happens everywhere you go. And so I think to me that sense of pride of people that are from Reno, that are proud of Reno, that want to have more people here because it makes our community better. That was an experience that I was not ready for. And it really changed my outlook on moving to a new area of like, man, it really can be a welcoming place and took away some of that apprehension and anxiety of coming somewhere new. So I think that's what makes Reno special is the people.
I have another question. When you when you started with Big Brothers Big Sisters, it was a smaller organization, right? I mean, the people of Reno are very generous.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that's one big reason why you've had such great success too.
Yeah. This community is incredibly, incredibly generous. And I think that when we've had those moments where we've needed the community to step in, we've seen that happen time and time again, right? We saw that through the pandemic. We saw that through relocation, moving our headquarters, buying a building. We've seen time and time again that the Reno community steps up, not just in those moments of need, although they do, but they step up year after year, day after day, continue to support our mission. And that shows that people believe in that power of mentorship and through our program at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Are there any other things that we should touch on today about Big Brothers Big Sisters that we should tell our listeners?
I think really like as cliche as it sounds, like going back to it takes a little to be big, like any way you want to get involved, like we'll find a place for you, right? Like there's so many opportunities to support our mission. Yes, we would love for everybody to sign up to become a big brother or a big sister because we always need bigs.
Yeah.
Right. But there's other ways to get involved. We have a young professionals committee. So if you're under the age of 40 and you're looking for networking opportunities or a way to get involved, that's a committee you can join. We have event committees. So we produce 2 large-scale events that raise money for our program every year. The Biggest Little Golf Tournament and Big Chef's Big Gala. Both of those have committees that anybody in the community could volunteer to sit on. Right. We are always looking for board members. And then, of course, like you can make a monetary contribution. So for us, it's $83 a month, supports a match for an entire year. So that's a $1,200 gift, supports one match for an entire year in our program. So every time we recruit a big, right, we also have to find $1,200 to support that match. And so we can find a spot for anybody.
$1,200.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can find a spot for anybody.
Because the $1,200 goes where?
That goes to supporting that match. So that's the entire process from paying for fingerprints and background checks to the entire support of the match length for an entire year. So I think it's, if you want to get involved, if anybody's inspired by this conversation, our goal is that they go to our website or they find us on social media and sign up. There's everybody's contact information is on there. They can just shoot me an email, shoot me a message, and happy to get them connected.
That's awesome. So tell us when your big events happen.
Yeah.
So people can know that they've got to be looking out for that.
Yes. So our next big event is the Big Chef's Big Gala.
Okay.
Presented by Gold Star Mortgage and Mike Richardson. That is on Saturday, September 27th at the Grand Sierra Resort. That's a fun event. We will have 20 plus different restaurants from the Reno community that'll be providing cocktails and food for everybody before we sit down to a full 4-course dinner. Lots of entertainment, fun, and a way to give back and support the community with a fun night. And then we also produce a golf tournament that is hosted every June.
Which I have to say, the golf tournament is phenomenal. And like, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be an 8-hour day. And it was like 4.5 hours or something like that. Yeah. And you guys raised how much money at the golf tournament?
We raised over $150,000 for our program. So, over 100 matches get to be made based off of just that event alone, which is incredible. The community really came out for us, and we do pride ourselves on our pace of play for our tournament.
Oh, the pace of play was fantastic. I don't know how you guys did it so well, but it worked out great. So this was a fantastic conversation. A story about an amazing human being, Derek Beauvais, who leads this organization, growing up in poverty, violence, finds an amazing mentor, moves into more type public service with Boys and Girls Club, goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters now, has this amazing experience with MacKenzie Scott, who basically funded the building I mean, this is a phenomenal story, and it's such a pleasure to sit down with you, Derek. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think that a lot of people know the name but don't know what we do, and so this is an opportunity for them to learn that there's one-to-one mentoring here in their community. If they want to get involved, they should watch this episode, but also go to our website or find us on socials and find a way to get involved.
Right. And it takes little to be big. So if you have a little extra time, this isn't a huge time suck. This is a great organization to get involved in. If you got some money, then hey, send it on over here. You get a great tax deduction on that. And I appreciate you watching Reno Right Now, where we are highlighting people doing amazing things in the city of Reno. Again, my name is Christian Reviglio. I'm a realtor with a tax CPA background. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.